I'm sorry, everybody. I was wrong. I literally thought we could go 11-6 this year. I wasn't trying to be a homer or a super fan that just couldn't see past their deficiencies. I literally thought they could go 11-6 this year, and I was wrong. I hate to tell you that. I know it probably breaks all your hearts to know that we could have been 11-6, but we're not. And so I was holding out to the end too. By the way, I mean we had 6 losses, yeah, but I thought we could get on a roll here. Maybe we go 10-7, right? I mean, we could still go 10-7, but that would require winning out. I mean, it's happened before. It's still possible. Not likely with how the defense is playing. But that begs the question. Were we who they thought we were? Not me. The national media. A lot of fans. Were or are we who they thought we were? To take words out of Denny Green's mouth. Are we who they thought we were? So that begs the question for tonight. And we're going to get into that in just a moment because we have Dan Aguire back, Cliff Victoria with his Cliff Notes for the game, and we have a special little thing that we're going to introduce. It's called Bears Trivia. So get your thinking caps on. Kitty, let's kick this shit off.
Bears country. Where is it? It's in your man cave. Your home. Your car. Your local bar. Your city. State. It's across the world. It's in your heart. And it's here. The Bears Country Podcast.
Welcome to Bears Country Podcast on the Barroom Network. I am your host, Shorty. We're not going to call me Dan anymore or the second Dan anymore. Dan, you're Dan. I'm Shorty. That's how we're going to roll. This game, it's just fucking gut-wrenching. This is 3 or 4. I can't remember if the first muffed punt cost us the game. But if it did, this is the 4th special teams game that we lost this year. So, Dan, the question is, are we who they thought we were? If we get those catches on those punt returns and we make that extra point the other day, are we still in this? Are we not who they thought we were? What's your answer, Dan?
It'd be good if I had the mic on. My answer is I'd like to think that, had Velus Jones not fumbled the punt return against the Giants and Washington, whatever the fuck their team name is now, that we win those games.
Yeah.
And if Smith Morset doesn't fumble or get stripped in Minnesota, that we win that game. Mm-hmm. But the truth is, we had a shot yesterday, despite the missed extra point from Santos, which again, it's just like, man, he's like made 40 straight field goals, but of course misses another extra point. Missed 2 against San Francisco, but we had the chance and we didn't come back. And despite that terrible pass interference non-call against Miami, it still was St. Brown dropping the pass the next play. So as much as I want to say, yeah, that's what, 1, 2, 3, it's 5 games we should have won, and they should have. But maybe if those punt returns aren't fumbled, Fields doesn't succeed going back down the field anyway.
I go back and forth on this in my head about the blocked punt in the Dolphins game. If that wasn't a blocked punt, I mean, the way that it was so early in the game, it's almost like you can't really use that blocked punt as an excuse for the loss. But, I guess when it comes down to the final score, you can in a way. So I'm kind of mixed on whether I'm going to use that as an excuse for it. But there's definitely 3 games that were decided by special teams. And this missed extra point, the game's tied. We're going to overtime. Maybe they go for. In fact, I was saying to my wife at the time, to Kitty at the time, watch them go for 2 here, just because they have the momentum after that. But there was no reason to, and so they didn't. But they could have, in that
should have been a blown out though. That interception by Sanborn, it was on that phantom hands to the face on Jalen Johnson, which I didn't even realize at the time was like some straight up acting. Like the dude doesn't even get touched and just falls to the ground. It's like a bad 70s kung fu movie or something.
Right.
It's like you said, I think it was yesterday, you told me you almost don't even want to do the show now because we don't even want to relive this shit. We're going to have to go through it page by page in the Cliff Notes.
I didn't think about this shit starting up a podcast. It's like, oh man, of course, this team isn't what I think they are in my head. Realistically, they're probably going to be 7-10, but I'm so just over the top optimistic with.
Me too. I honestly thought, I don't mean to step on you. I just want to say, I honestly thought like it was probably 85-90% that going into the game against Miami, we're all standing there ready for it to kick off. I honestly thought when we were going to be on this podcast tonight, we would be talking about the Bears back at 500.
Yep.
I thought we'd be 5-5 after 2 home games. I thought we upset Miami and we beat Detroit, and here we are back in the thick of things.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, what happens? 3-7. Green Bay decides to show back up and beat Dallas. It's just fuck, man. We're back to, like you said, the Dennis Green reference. We're back to who they thought we were.
Right. And on that, during the game that we were at, I was recording the Mooney touchdown in the back left corner of the end zone, and I ended it with Aldo, and he said something about we're going to win this game 60 to something, just because the way the momentum was kind of swinging in our favor at that time, and we get it's just these ref calls. And I hate to sit here and bitch about the refs, but they have a family to feed and a job to do and all that shit too. And they're only seeing it in real time, but some of it has looked blatant to me. And it's hard to get over those, like the one in the Dolphins game. It was fucking blatant. And then there was another one in the game yesterday, a blatant pass interference. Was it a no call against the Bears? And you're seeing it happen over and over again. It's like a penalty is a penalty. I get it. But if you're going to call the game right, call the right ones, and don't call it. They need to put reviewing into these penalties.
Yeah, I think you should be able to, if they don't want to review every PI call, I get it. But it should be challengeable. If the Bears are out of challenges and a bad PI call comes up, well, that's our fault.
But it's not like they have to take the PI and turn it into a review of, like when they throw the red flag. We can see it in real time with our own eyeballs. As soon as you see the replay of, like, let's say the Chase Claypool PI last week at the end of the game, where we should have been right there at the 20, you can see it. And after the play is replayed, it wouldn't have taken them long to go, oh, that's a pass interference, call it. And then just send it down to the field judge and have them call it. It's not you have to sit there for 2 minutes reviewing every possible PI in the game. Some of them are really freaking blatant. And
that's what I think you should be able to, like, if you have your challenges, you should be able to challenge pass interference and say that was a non-call. Or if they call it and you're like, God, that's bullshit, you should be able to use the challenge on that. But again, if your team's out of challenges, that's on you. But you should be able to challenge it, especially, when it's not like that those plays aren't changing games.
Right.
No one wants to hear about people whining about the refs. I get it. It's always the Bears. It's always a team that's, 3-7, but there's always like 10 calls against those teams. So if you could challenge, because the pass interference call changes the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
So you should be able to challenge that. And had we we would have won the one against Detroit yesterday that wasn't called, and we definitely would have won the one against Miami that wasn't called, and we would have won the one against Miami with Eddie Jackson that was called if we could challenge him.
Give them 2 a game and make it they lose a timeout if they're wrong.
Right.
And if they don't have a timeout, fuck them. It's their problem.
Exactly.
So that's something that they should take into account, because it's just we can be done with it after this. It's just this has been happening way too much, and it goes back to last year, and I'm fucking sick of it, to be honest.
Yeah, and now we've got 2 of those marathon Justin Fields touchdown runs in the last 2 weeks, but again, we had one against Minnesota that was taken back by a phantom bullshit holding call that even the announcers were like, "Ooh, that's not. I don't see it." Yeah, so Fields should have another 50 or 60-yard touchdown run.
He might have broken his own record 3 times this year.
Exactly.
I mean, he is the modern day Walter Payton. I mean, I know he's playing quarterback, but Payton did everything for that team back then.
Right.
On offense. And you're looking at these numbers from Justin Fields this year. It's like, holy shit, he's the entire offense. Can you imagine if they had one more player, let's say a Devin Hester, that on special teams could just turn the game at any moment. It doesn't have to be an offensive player. Maybe you could put him in there, with a Getsy schemed offense, and they would have gotten more out of a player like that. But just one more player like that on the field that can change a game is all we need on offense. It's just one more.
What 2 things to that? For one, we don't know still what we have in Claypool. He had like 10 snaps yesterday, if I saw that correctly. Yeah, just like, what are they doing, man? You'd give up a 2nd-round pick, and you're like, we don't need to use him. Fuck. N'Keal Harry, you've been playing well, but fuck, you're a healthy scratch. It's just like, what are they doing? But you mentioned your comparison to Walter Payton makes me think Aldo yesterday made the comparison that Justin Fields was young Jordan. Like when he's clearly the best player in the league, the best player on the team, but the rest of the team isn't that good yet. So it's just a one-man show. Yeah. That was his comparison yesterday with young Jordan.
I agree. I mean, I've said that to my wife too. It's like he has that it to him that Jordan had, even more so than Peyton did, like Jordan was just, he just encapsulated the entire world, and Justin has that kind of it quality to him that I don't want to see him get killed out there. I mean, the running is great, and the breaking the records and stuff, that's wonderful. But if you start to fear moving forward, if they keep doing this, knocking on wood, I don't want to say the words, but just they have to get that one extra guy that on offense, if they could get, a kick returner that everyone feared, and just a stud, a Tyreek Hill type player on offense with that speed, they're right in this, I mean, they're right in it next year, I should say, because they're still in it this year. They could still go to the playoffs. This NFC sucks. So
I don't know, though. I mean, reality kind of, I hate to say it, reality kind of hit us right in the balls yesterday. I mean, now you're 0-3 in the division.
Yeah.
You've only got one conference win.
I looked at the numbers.
You beat Houston and you beat New England. Those are 2 AFC wins. So you're 0-3 in your own division. You've only got one NFC win. Everybody would have a tiebreaker on you going down the stretch. Everybody.
Right.
Because your first thing is head-to-head, then it's your division, and then it's your conference.
Right.
So everyone's going to have a tiebreaker. It would be...
As they stand right now, I think they have the 3rd pick if the season ended today.
Well, it would take a miracle for them to make the postseason, especially the way the defense is playing, which is just a train wreck every week. And I honestly don't know if they'd be that much better with Roquan, because you saw what happened in Dallas, and he's just kind of loafing around there. But
hey, that's just one of the reasons why I think they got rid of Roquan, is because I thought they could plug and play Sanborn, or at least I thought that they thought that they could just plug and play Sanborn, and he'd get those 12 tackles and 2 sacks and an interception in the game, which he should have had. He had a great game yesterday.
Yeah.
He was the best defensive player on the field.
The worst one was definitely Jalen Johnson. That one hands to the face call, which negated the interception, was bullshit, but he still had, I think,
Davis' career.
I think he had 2 pass interference calls, and to take the words out of Dan Hampton's mouth, he was just loafing around.
Mm-hmm.
He was doing everything that Eberflus said in the preseason, they would hold players to account for. With the his system, whatever that acronym was, I forgot. But so, I mean, but the way Eberflus talked in August, like Jalen Johnson should be benched this week, but I know he's not going to be.
Oh, of course he's not. This is for my friend Lynn Hayden, who joins me on the show on Wednesdays on my channel. You're right, Lynn. I was wrong. Fuck, I hate saying that.
I hate saying that the Bears have 7 games left and can't make the playoffs. It just, oh man, it goes against everything in my fight. It's antithetical to everything that I think and aspire to have, and it's abhorrent to everything that I believe to sit here and say these games don't matter. But here we are.
The only hope that we have is we get one of those better teams at a trap game time, build some confidence, and then maybe if we lost 2 more games here on out and didn't make the playoffs, it would still be exciting to watch, But if we only win 2 more games from here on out, it's like what you're saying. That's just going to be miserable. It's going to be awful.
Well, and I think you're going to the game Sunday.
Yes,
is that
this
right?
weekend I'm going to the Falcons.
Yeah, so we don't want to lose to Phil Emery and to Ryan Pace, who are both with the Falcons organization. But it seems like every time we play a former Bear, whether it's an executive or not, they have their revenge game against us. See that scrub Charles Leno, most recently with the Commanders.
Yeah.
Everyone gets their revenge game. Like, for fuck's sake, man, can we please beat these guys?
Listen, Dan, I had the season tickets to the Falcons. The only game I sold was the first one that was like the Niners game. Nobody wants to go to the Niners or to the Falcons games here. They're more concerned with Georgia football. So we have an entourage of 13 going to that game. So I just have a feeling that's going to be mostly Bears fans. It's going to be a home game for them, and for Justin Fields. So fuck that. We're going to win this game. If we lose this game, I'm going to have to be sick next week.
If for some reason they beat Atlanta, which I think on paper I've been saying Atlanta is not that. I mean, Marcus Mariota, he was almost a Bear. Like Ryan Pace tried to draft that guy, if you remember. Yeah. It's like, I don't think Mariota's that good. So it's like, you should beat Atlanta. Well, let's say you do. Maybe I'm bullshitting myself with optimism here. A little ray of sunshine up my own ass, but I still don't think the Jets are that good. Sure, the Jets have a decent defense, but Zach Wilson's not that good. So I think both of these games are winnable. Then you're looking at 5-7 with Green Bay coming to your park. Man, you beat Green Bay and you're back in this fucking thing.
6-7, you're back in it.
You're back in it.
Who's after Green Bay? Is that game?
After Green Bay's the bye.
Okay, and then the Eagles, I think, right?
Yeah, then Eagles.
Then the Bills.
The Bills, at the Lions, and Minnesota. 3 of the last 4 at home.
Yeah, so I mean,
we saw Minnesota beat Buffalo in Buffalo. Shit, man. Hold on one second, Dan. I'm sorry. My boss is calling me. I'm sorry.
No worries.
Give me 1 second. Buddy.
Well, we can go ahead and bring Cliff on. Go ahead and roll in Cliff's introduction, and then we'll get to the Cliff Notes. It's about that time anyway. Cliff, my friend, how are you feeling today?
Hey there, Shorty. How you doing?
Just move over there.
Show must go on. So hey, a couple of comments on what you guys are talking about with the Bears' losses. Now, one, they've been in almost every game.
Right.
They've had a chance to win. And
right.
2, with the lack of talent they have on this team and Justin Fields' development, I think they could have won several of these games. So It's not like we are the Lions and getting our butts kicked every single week.
Right.
So as
Like we were
far
saying,
as
those special teams plays that decided the games, it's been special teams has been the problem.
there's always something going wrong. I think this game, like I think it was Lynn was saying it, the penalties killed us this game. They got in the way of so many drives, and that Sanborn interception, which would have sealed the game, basically, another penalty stops that one. So if they need to work on anything this week, it's stopping those penalties. But I'm not that sad that they are losing these games, because the draft picks are going to matter hugely when we get to the offseason. And it's not just getting, I believe they're in the 5th spot right now as of today. So if they're picking 5th, they can get their 3-tech. They could get probably the best wide receiver, or they could trade down and still get good players.
Or they could draft Cedric Benson.
Yeah, let's hope not. Hopefully Poles doesn't do that. But I'm looking at the possibilities of them having a lot more opportunities. And as Swifty said in his video today, he mentioned it's not just the first round you get the better pick, it's every single round. So if the Bears lose now and they play a good game, all right, I can live with that because we're looking towards the future.
I agree with you. It's nice to see the progress. At least you're seeing good things happening. You're seeing Fields progress and grow within the offense, right? And at the same time, you're getting the loss, which gives you the high draft pick. So it's giving you hope for the future. But geez, like we were just saying, it's hard to sit here and, it'd be one thing to just barely make the playoffs and have that hope going into next year, but to fucking lose all these games like this is getting irritating as hell, for one thing. And if they continue, it's going to be even more heartbreaking every fucking week to sit here and go, this happened again. This happened again. Why does this keep happening? It's like a conspiracy. And
despite the fact that everyone's using, this mantra of that we're going to get a good draft pick and Fields is playing well and things are going good, that's also being used against us too. Again, on the WGN post-game, Ed O'Branovich said, just look at the numbers. This kid is a below average quarterback. He's 5-15 as a starter. So people start to look at the record, extrapolate that out, and you got a legend, the man who, won the 63 championship of the Bears, had an interception in the game, a legend like Ed O'Branovich saying that Fields isn't any good.
Right.
And he's 5-15 and he's not a winner. So these losses matter, man, even though if people tell us they don't. They do. You just keep compounding and more and more and more. And suddenly, that's what you say. You're the guy that's okay. You're good. You're flashy, but you can't win.
And what's going to happen if they keep having these games like this where Fields is breaking his own records, rushing in a game, and that's the only offense they have? We're going from the national and now local and the fans, talking about how Justin Fields is he's captivating the nation. But then if this keeps happening, they're going to start to turn the narrative onto him as being, he's a running quarterback, even though you can clearly fucking see he's trying to throw the ball, but it's not working. So he has to run. Some of them are designed, yes, but some of the ones that he's just getting a lot of big runs out of, it's just broken down. And I would hate to see that narrative changed into that direction.
I have a lot of respect for Ed Abramovich, but I do think that Justin's losses are not based on him being a bad quarterback. I'm seeing tremendous development from him. This game, he threw the ball out of bounds at least twice rather than take a sack. That's progress. He was running on a play, trying to get through the line, realized that there was nowhere to go, and he throws the ball down over the middle of the field for a completion, and I think to Pettis. So he's learning, he's growing. So I'm not paying that much attention to their record. As I say all the time, go look up Josh Allen's first year, and if you want to see something comparable, and look at what Josh Allen is now.
When you're up 24-10, and I understand that they're trying to play everything close to the vest and, want to make sure we stay in it, and they're not taking a whole lot of chances. But when they're up 14 and got the ball back, they went 3 and out, if you recall. I mean, why not go deep then? Why not just send Claypool deep and take a shot? Why not send Mooney deep, somebody deep, and just because that's one of the things we are not doing is we're not taking any deep shots at all. Now we did early in the Miami game, like a couple times in the first quarter, and then didn't the rest of that game either, other than that last play where Claypool was molested and the flag didn't come out.
Right.
About the only play that we threw deep this time was that touchdown to Komet, and that one actually worked out pretty well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no shit. It's like you said, Cliff. You were seeing the development. It's happening. It's happening. It's happening. They need that one extra playmaker. You know, that even if it was a special teams that like Devin Hester, someone to put the fear in their hearts on a punt. You know, that would change this team. So I think
Here, let me tell you something that'll make you feel better.
You want to go into your Cliff notes?
All right, here. We will be, but here, just to make you feel a little bit better right now, I've been looking at some of the defensive players that may be available coming up. So imagine the Bears with Darren Payne, Yannick Ngakoue, Devin Bush, Tremaine Edwards, and Byron Murphy on their teams. That's a defensive tackle, 3-tech, an edge, 2 linebackers, and a cornerback. And they could get that for $60, maybe $70 million, easily affordable to them. And their defense would suddenly have 4 stars on it besides the players they have now. Something to think about.
I like your thinking. And then they have the draft. I mean, if they could,
Exactly.
You're talking about, if Poles does what I think he's going to do in the draft and just trade down a bit more and get more picks and turn that into more chances. I mean, people have been pointing to 2023, and I was trying to jumpstart it a little bit, but you know, 2020 next year is going to be a good year. We're going to be having a lot of fun on this podcast. I'll tell you that much. So, Cliff, you want to get into your Cliff notes?
Sure. Let's get started with them. All right. First of the Cliff notes. Run, Justin, run. First play of the game. You know that Detroit is ready to stop the Justin Fields run. That's what they've been working on all week. And first play, Justin runs around the end for 26 yards.
Mm-hmm.
A very good start to the game.
It was a beautiful start to the game. I was like, this is going well. This is going to go well.
Exactly. And then, all right, number 2, the refs are still doing the iffy penalties. You know, the Bears are having a good drive. They're moving the ball. They're heading for the red zone. And what looks like a good block by Jones, I believe that they called it because he did such a good block that he ended up pushing the guy backwards over the pile. So the refs felt there was something wrong with that because how is he pushing it over the pile? Mm-hmm. Oh, hey, Saint Omni, I trimmed down the Cliff notes where my own notes are not on the screen this time. So I tried to make it easier for you guys and not get yelled at by Shorty.
You took the Cliff novel out of it, put it back in the notes, huh?
Right. These are the headlines, and then I'll give my own notes verbally.
To your ref's point, that personal foul on Goff when he ran out of bounds was fucking disgusting. I mean, come on.
If you look down to number 15 in the Cliff notes, Goff is LeBron. He's great at flopping.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead. We'll get to that then later.
All right. Bears are blitzing. I don't know if everybody saw it, but the Bears were mixing in a lot of blitzes this game, and they were actually working.
I know. It was nice to see. Sanborn with 2 sacks.
Right. Correct. Yes.
The undrafted free agent rookie.
The first defensive play by Joe Thomas comes in on a blitz and bats the ball down. So, you know, before they were trying to get the rush home with 4 guys all the time consistently. And now they're starting to make it a little more complex with mixing a blitz in here and there.
I would have still expected them to get to Goff more because, he's a statue and he was running around and starting to piss me off the whole game. You know, he was pissing me off the whole game. He was getting rid of the ball. He was kind of doing what you see Green Bay do to us, or even like last week. He's hitting all those little sweet spots in the zones, and it was getting annoying.
I think we had a few problems with our quarterbacks. Safeties a little bit, but mainly quarterbacks. Jalen Johnson been named the worst offender this week.
Probably his worst game.
He did not play well. All right, getting on to the sun god shines. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he had a pretty good game. Kept making catches all through the game or making some runs. And, he's a great player, but he did not help the Bears yesterday.
No, he did not. Dan, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm listening. I just don't want to take Cliff's thunder here,
Well, no, I mean, comment anytime you want to, Dan. I'm always happy to hear what you have to say.
I'm still just fucking downtrodden over this shit, man. I mean,
I know it's
the Bears did blitz early, which was good to see because they were just too afraid to do that to Miami. And like some of that against Miami maybe is enough to knock Tua off because he's just coming back from a concussion, for God's sake.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I'm not saying hurt the guy, but take some chances.
No shit.
Yeah, good point. And that's another game that they should have won the game.
They should have.
All right, who would you guys rather have? Amon-Ra St. Brown or Equanimous St. Brown?
Well, that goes without saying, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The kid from Detroit looks like a number one receiver. Our guy, who I like, dropped that terrible ball against Miami when we needed him. So,
he hasn't really done much. I mean, his best plays have been, end arounds. Really, he's fast, but he's not the guy that's going to go up and get the ball for you, which he's already proven. And he's not a good route runner. So I'd much rather have his brother.
Yep, agreed. All right, moving on. Number 5, Khalil Herbert needs a nickname. Hey, chat. What would you think? I don't know if he already has one or not. I don't really hear of him having one so much. Hey, chat, what would you think we should nickname Khalil Herbert? He gets that kick return back out to midfield. And he also had a good day running before he got hurt. So what do you guys want to nickname him?
I'm going to give my input on that. I'm going to say Herbie. Remember the Volkswagen show? Herbie? His little race car Volkswagen? That's pretty much him, Herbie.
Now my thoughts on this, I would call him the Creasinator. Yeah, he seems to be very good at hitting that crease.
Yeah, he does. I wish he was faster. If he had that top end speed, he'd be a fucking elite back, man. The way he's able to hit those holes is
still pretty good.
Something to watch. It's fun to watch.
Yes. What do you think, Dan? You got any nicknames for Herbert?
Unfortunately, I feel like I'm sabotaging the segment, but I don't have a nickname for Khalil Herbert. I just want him to keep running.
Herb from Burger King? Say not me. I like Herbie. Because he was like a little race car Volkswagen. That's kind of what he is. He's like a little compact little Volkswagen Beetle.
At least we call him Khalil because it was brought up when Khalil Mack was still here because Khalil Mack randomly started telling people he wanted his name to be pronounced Khalil as opposed to Khalil. So then they asked Khalil Herbert how he wanted his name pronounced at the time, and he said Khalil. But yet, when we were at Soldier Field last week, the PA guy kept saying, Khalil Herbert with the carry. Khalil Herbert. I'm like, God, we're at the Bears game, and that guy's getting it wrong. So
it's almost like he was trying to take Superman's dad's name, Kal-El, like Kal-El.
Kal-El. No, it wasn't. No, he was Kal-El. The dad was Jarrell.
Oh yeah, they're right.
Because remember, Zod was like Jarrell, son of Jarrell, kneel before Zod. That's a Superman 2 reference for anyone that cares.
I love that. I love Superman. He's my favorite. I hate
like the Christopher Reeve ones.
They fucking ruined Superman with Superman Returns.
So, all right, moving on here. The penalties start to add up. Again, as Lynn said, I think this was the number one reason the Bears lost this game. And some of them might have been on the refs, but most of them were on the Bears. They're making penalties. They were doing so well at the start of the year, and all of a sudden they're having drives killed by getting all these penalties. Have you guys noticed an increase?
It's night and day. They were like the least penalized team in the first half of the season, or the first quarter of the season, and now they're like the most penalized and least penalized against. The fucking Lions had like what, 2 penalties yesterday?
Yeah, it's disconcerting because I mean, we're only 10 games into this administration, but are they tuning Eberflus out? Because early in the year, we were giving him so much credit for coaching, especially in comparison to Nagy, by saying, oh, look, Nagy, no discipline, the team constantly running wild with penalties. But look, our guy, there's only 2 or 3 a game. And the fact he's not holding them accountable now for his own system of allowing them to loaf and shit, maybe they're just like, oh, he doesn't care. He's not going to do anything.
Right.
Yeah. And it's leading to undisciplined play. But it's just a theory. There's no way of knowing.
Or it's just that we don't have a defensive line.
Or a coordinator.
Yeah, or a coordinator. You can go that far. I mean,
I don't like Alan Williams. I mean,
I'm not going there yet, but I mean, they were doing well in the beginning, and I don't think that the loss of Roquan is the problem. It's just, I think that defensive line is starting to, like to what you.
Yeah, we lost Shorty. Well, continuing, I think the Bears' inexperience may also be contributing to it, Dan. They're getting into the season where maybe they're getting a little bit run down and, not playing at the same high level.
There's certainly a potential of that as well. And we did even mention that we lost Quinn too, So, I mean, not that Robert Quinn was playing that well at the time, but I guess leadership does account for some things too. And maybe the defense is a little bit leaderless at this point. I mean, you got Eddie Jackson saying all the right things in press conferences right now. Yeah, saying that we need to help Justin. We're playing like shit and the calls are going against us and saying all the things the fans want to hear. But maybe nobody else is able really to step up. I mean, they put the C on Justin Jones, and I'm hearing people praise Justin Jones recently, but for the most part, I haven't seen him. I'm curious to know, I don't know if you know the answer to this. Remember Ogunjobi that we signed earlier in the year, and then we said,
I do.
Pittsburgh,
I believe.
Yeah, what's he doing in Pittsburgh? Is he having a good year? Does anybody know?
Not a really good year. I actually just saw some stats on him, and it's not a great year out there. So not what we would have overspent if he was having the kind of year that he's having out there. But he's going to be a free agent again.
Well, maybe they can bring him back because we need help with the front seven terribly.
And it's definitely possible that they could. I actually, on the list I've been compiling of defensive players, free agency, he's number 3 or 4, something like that. So there's a couple ahead of him. We'll have to see who gets franchised and who gets re-signed. But there should be some names for the Bears to go after.
I mean, all we keep hearing is about the cap space that they have. So I hope that they don't suddenly not want to use that money next year. I mean, like, oh, we're going to build through the draft and not go through free agency. I mean, all this shit you've been selling us is implying that next year is going to be a huge buying year from free agents. So let's hope that.
Yeah, you have to spend some of it at least. Even if you keep reserves, for signing players during the season or for signing, some of the Bears players that you want to keep, you still have to spend some money and get the team built.
Exactly.
So, all right. Speaking about the penalties again, another flag gives Detroit a first down on the 1. Flag in the end zone. They score 10-3 Lions. Now, at this point, I'm still not feeling bad. I mean, the game's going okay. We're just getting started, and it's just in time. Fields is showing development with runs and passes. He wasn't passing as much as he is now before. So I do think his confidence is building. He moves in the pocket without the panic that he used to have. He's actually, you can tell he's thinking while he's moving. He's eluding guys. He's making better moves. They're doing the Frogger kind of thing. He slides and go ahead, Dan. Sorry.
I was just going to agree with you. He maybe just from, he's eclipsed 1 year of starts now. And like you said, it seems like he's more comfortable. And there was a sideline report that was actually going on forever. If you listen, and early in the third quarter, they had Laura Odom. What's her name? Anyway, Laura Okram, whatever Fox's lady was
The
yesterday,
one in the
whoever it
white
was.
coat.
Well, they had her talking over the action, and I was like, man, they're going to miss the play. But she said in it that early on, Fields was concerned about personnel, early on, like who's in the huddle, who's supposed to be in the huddle. Okay, what formation are we going to be? And the whole thing was trying to like get the offense where it needs to be. But now at this point in the season, he feels comfortable there, and it's like, okay, what is the defense doing? She was saying that that's what he was telling her, that early on it was like panic. Let's make sure we're okay. But now he feels like we are okay, and let's study the defense and see what they're doing pre-snap. And that's giving him the ability to play like he's being able to play recently is just having that comfortability and experience in the offense.
I thought that was a great comment that she made. It was right on point.
I agree.
Okay. Now Fields is also sliding instead of taking the hits. Several times you saw him where in the past he might have just run into the defenders, but now he's sliding before he gets hit. What do you think, Shorty?
I didn't hear a fucking word you said. I just got kicked out of my
I
own
was saying,
computer.
we're gonna have to buy Shorty a computer for Christmas.
We gotta start a GoFundMe so I can get a goddamn MacBook, because fuck this computer. This is the second week it's happened to me. I had a problem and it just kicked me off. It just
get an Acer. I've had cheapo Acer computers for a long time, and they generally hold out pretty well.
Nah, I want a MacBook.
Okay, now Acer can give
Kitty,
us
my
a
birthday is on
sponsorship
Christmas.
computer.
My birthday's on Christmas, Kitty. She's gonna jump in now and be like, "Fuck you! I'm not buying you a MacBook." I'm sorry, guys. I have to apologize. I don't know what's going on. I think it's because my computer, I've been doing a lot of work on it for the podcast. I think it's overworked. I'm trying to transfer shit to a terabyte so I can kind of clear up some space on my computer. So I apologize for that. Well, I'll try to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Hey, we're getting used to it. We're getting better at it.
So you lost the Cliff Notes, right? So everything's I control all this. So let me pull the Cliff Notes back up.
Okay, we are on number 7. We're talking about just in time. Justin Fields, he slides a lot more now. Rather than take the hits, he's been told, slide, Justin, slide. And he's actually doing it more. Maybe you lose 2-3 yards or something by doing that, but it may prolong his career some.
I still think he slides too upright, though. He slides like an L. He slides into his spot like this. He doesn't bend his whole body to go down, And that's a headshot waiting to happen every time. That's what scares me. The kid's a tank, though.
And then also, besides the sliding, he's more so looking to pass first. He's not just suddenly panicking and running. While he's eluding half the line, his eyes are downfield. So I think he's working at increasing the passing ability. So give him some more time with that, and let's see how he develops it.
Yeah, I agree. Dan, do we lose you now?
No, again, I'm just here listening.
All right, here's the one.
It's a solemn night, isn't it? It's like, Jesus Christ. It's so hard to watch these losses. As much as giving us a good draft pick, it's just we're seeing the progress and we feel like we're getting robbed, right?
Wait till we get to number 20, Shorty.
Yeah. Go ahead, Cliff.
So, okay. This is the one I really like. There's a steamroller loose on the turf, and its name is Justin Fields putting his shoulder down and hitting a linebacker so hard that he gave the guy a concussion and scoring the touchdown.
I know. I can't. You could see that in real time. It's like, oh, somebody got the concussion there. Oh, it's not him. I know he's the kid's a brick shithouse, man. I just hope he holds up.
It made me think of that in 2015 when Cutler ran over Harrison Smith at Soldier Field when he dropped his shoulder and ran over him. That's the ferocity that he had yesterday, Fields. It was beautiful. Not that I want to see the guy from Detroit hurt or concussed, but it was one of those moments. He's like, man, he's showing you he's a fucking horse too, man. He's not just, all finesse. He's got some power, Justin Fields.
Mm-hmm.
Later in the game. Oh, go ahead, Shorty.
I just wanted to say, since we have Don Burr here in chat, I just wanted to give this to you, Don. There you go.
Since you're mentioning
Don Burr, fuck off.
Since you're mentioning Don Burr, Don, you promised me you were going to come on. I put my email out twice online so that you would see it and have it so you could contact me. I watched that email all weekend, Don. You didn't do what you said you were going to do.
Yeah, that's not very respectable, Don. Got to be a man of your word. You were going to come on the show. You were going to join us tonight. But, oh well, fuck you, Don Burr. All right, moving on.
Could have gloated about the win, but too bad.
Yeah, you could have come on here and talk shit about the win instead of annoying everyone in chat. You could have come on here and gave us all shit about your glorious 1-point win and talked about the only two players that you know, Jared Goff and Adrian Hutchinson. And then you would have had a lot of fun. And we would have probably kicked you off here, and we would have had fun. So it would have been a missed opportunity, my friend, my unfriend. Go ahead.
All right.
Fuck you, Don Burr. Moving on to the Cliff Notes.
All right, 3/4 of a good defense. And I like the pun there. 3/4 of a good defense. I mean, the defense is mixing the blitzes in and out. They're getting tackles for loss. And there was even some good defense in the fourth quarter. So it wasn't terrible, but the parts where they missed were, the parts that cost them the game. Right.
They've seemed to keep, as horrible as they've looked at times this season, they've seemed to still keep the offense in the game when it matters. How many games have we lost by, the final play? We were in the game most of the game. There's only the Green Bay game that I can think of that we didn't really have a chance. And yeah, you're right. It's like, fuck. I just have nothing else to say about it. I'm just so heartbroken.
Do you have any defensive comments, Dan?
Defensive comments?
Yes. What'd you think of them?
It's the same shit. I mean, you can't get any pressure at the front four whatsoever, so you have to blitz some, which they did early, which made me happy. Sanborn was playing much better than I anticipated. You haven't heard much from Kyler Gordon recently. He seemed to be improving, and then since New England hasn't done much, same thing with Brisker. Mm-hmm. Eddie hasn't made any interceptions, and 31 was in for Vildor. I didn't really see. I still think anyone's an upgrade over Vildor. So there's my defensive comments, and I still think Justin Jones is overrated, even though everyone keeps saying he's playing so well.
That's a good summary. I like that. I can agree with that.
Justin Jones would be a good complementary player to whoever the Bears get at 3 Tech next year.
I mean, but all that being said, they still have given us a chance at the end of the game, most of the games. And even they failed us on this last game because, Detroit drove down and scored when it mattered. But for the most part, other than the Green Bay game, they've really kept us in it. All right, so moving on.
All right, here we go. Time is on Justin's side. Now, this was a good high point that I saw. Detroit has a spy hanging out back in the middle linebacker spot, and Justin's sitting there in the pocket on one play, and he's sitting there in the pocket, and he's sitting there in the pocket, and he's sitting there in the pocket. And finally, he throws the ball downfield for a completion. And can't complain about the offensive line on that play.
Yeah, there's been the last couple of games he's had a pocket to throw from, and he seems to be developing within that pocket and getting rid of the ball on time for the most part. He's getting better from game to game doing that. And this last game, to be honest, I can't believe he broke his own record rushing, though. It's like, how did that happen again? It's like, it just kind of sneaks up on you. All these little plays he makes throughout the game start to add up to rushing yards, and then boom, he breaks his own record. which we were talking about in the beginning, could have been for the third time this year. So, yeah.
We're going to see better and better from him. Yeah, hey, look at him now compared to game 1, game 2. He's so far further along in his advancement. So what's he going to be like in game 15? I can't wait to see.
I can't wait either. And hopefully we're close to making the playoffs. We have a chance. That's all I can hope for.
Okay, Mr. 11-6.
Now it's Mr. 10-7.
Yeah, each week the number changes.
We can still go 10-7, guys. Guys and girls.
We could. Here, let me show you the winning lottery ticket here.
Yeah.
All right, here. Komet.
Yeah.
All right. Justin rolls out to the right, throws a TD to Komet.
Mm-hmm. And then he hits him on the next play, on the next series, on that long touchdown.
Well, if you look at number 12 in the Cliff Notes, it's Komet.
Komet, right.
And
so,
he comes... Yeah, go ahead, Shorty.
It's nice to see him starting to develop within the offense, too, because, I mean, you're starting to see, he's not a... what's his name from the Chiefs? Oh. He doesn't have the hip movement, but Kelsey. He's a big fucking guy. And Dan, you can attest to that, seeing him, from 30 feet away at the game. He's a fucking big guy. So
I have to eat my words on this one, and I'm glad to. I last season, this is this year 3 for Komet?
Yes, I think so.
Yes.
Yeah, I was saying in year 1, like, ooh, I don't know, but it's year 1, and then year 2, I was like, God, this guy's a bust. He's a fucking bust. I want him to do well. He rooted for the Bears growing up, but he's not that good. And maybe it was Matt Nagy that was holding him back too. So I'll be glad to tell you that it appears that I was wrong on Cole Komet, and I deserve all the animosity or that anyone can throw at me for that opinion. It appears that I was wrong, and I'm glad because he's been balling lately. And then last week against Miami, at one point again, he caught a little out route and then dropped his shoulder and ran for some power and ran over a guy, the Miami secondary, which is something he never did the first 2 years. It's like as soon as he got tackled, it felt like, someone could stick their pinky out and he would fall.
Right.
So he's really growing up in front of us, man. So I'm so glad to see it. And let's go 85. Keep going.
So am I. I'm excited.
And here, to answer Casey, that's the next point that I was going to bring up. The Bears are driving. Detroit forgets to cover Komet. So Justin throws him a 50-yard touchdown to go up 24-10.
Mm-hmm. It's a thing of beauty. And he's been playing more. He's been doing more in the games besides, just those touchdowns. You're seeing him get some nice passes and just barrel people over and start to use his size against them. And it really is exciting to see Dan and Cliff, because I had high hopes for him when they got him out of Notre Dame, and he's starting to come to fruition. And Justin needs to have that safety blanket in that tight end. It's just that it's that player that's you're looking for when everything else breaks down. Where's Komet? If they can build on it. You can
see what it's doing for him.
Yeah. Well, Cliff, before we get into number 13, let's take a moment for this break.
Aldo here, and on the next Dan and Aldo Bear Their Soul show, I'm going to talk to Dan about the rebuild. Let's try to put a grade to it. Let's examine it. Let's talk about, where we're at certain position levels. And as a feeding point, we're going to use a segment from the Score Sports Radio's Bernstein and Holmes show with Dan Wiederer as their guest. Going to use their segment on this topic as a feeding point. And of course, Johnny Santucci will join us for the last hour, and he'll share some of his handicapping wisdom. We're live at 8 p.m. Central on Tuesday, and you can catch us on demand Wednesday morning wherever you get your podcast.
That's right. Make sure you check out Dan and Aldo tomorrow on the Barroom Network. And for anyone who's watching on my channel, Bears Country Podcast, make sure you head over to the Barroom Network tomorrow night and check them out too, because Dan and Aldo together are an absolute fucking blast. They're my favorite show on the internet, and that's why I call him the Podfather.
The music sounded like
Go ahead,
at a
Dan.
Great Gatsby party. The music that he was playing in the background on that.
This is if you've noticed in Aldo's new background, he has a bunch of posters up. And this one, he sent me this text and he said, "Inspired by you." And it's because I've been calling Aldo the Podfather. So I love the caption by Donna, his wife. "If he comes up with one more podcast, I think I'll make him an offer he can't refuse." So we want to thank you, Podfather, for allowing us to broadcast this channel on the Ballroom Network from Bears Country Podcast. Like I said, we have a lot going on over there, so check us out over there too.
My comment on Dan and Aldo's and Tooch's Tuesday show is it is one of the best out there. I really enjoy watching that show.
Me too. I look forward to it.
Yep, I try to make sure I have time on Tuesday nights.
Not to stroke your own dick for you, though, Dan.
I appreciate it. Again, Aldo and I are legitimate friends, and I think that makes the show what it is. I think people can tell it's not like it's a front or something.
Right.
Very genuine, that's for sure.
100% agree.
So getting back to our show tonight, I did have a little bit to finish up with the Komet segment here. He ran 4 catches, 74 yards, 2 TDs. And for any tight end, especially this year, that's phenomenal performance.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and also he got banged up towards the end of the game, but that's what he says. He's like, "I'm a little banged up. I'm okay." So he's saying he's going to be all right, which is good to hear.
Wait, you're talking about Santos or Fields?
No, I'm talking about Komet. Komet got banged
Komet.
up.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to reload everything that I had from when I got cut off from my computer kicked me off. Sorry.
No worries. Okay, moving on to Santos now. What the heck? What happened to him? He self-destructed this game.
I don't know, man. That to lose by 1 point in a game that should have gone into overtime at the very least is just, it's like watching Velus Jones muff that punt, and then they go on score from like the 4-yard line. It's they're both one and the same. They both cost us the game.
Saturday was Santos's birthday. Maybe he was out like boozing too much the night before.
Maybe. He's a little guy. Hopefully he didn't drink too much.
Do you think that when he kicked the ball out of bounds that got in his head?
It got in my head.
Could be. I mean, we saw it happen last year when, fucking Nagy.
I'm not even going to get into that. I have zero thought.
Put him in to kick like a 65-yarder when he was on a 30 field goal streak. And once that ruined his streak, it fucked up for the rest of the season. So
I was at that game. That was in Pittsburgh.
He seems to be one of those guys that when he gets on a roll, either if he's on a streak, it's like he can keep it going for a while. But once that streak gets broken, he gets into like this, mind frame where it fucks with him and then he misses his extra point. That's just Jesus Christ.
Kickers.
Yeah.
I'd
still like to be one.
Yeah. Yes, that'd be a nice job to have. All right, moving along. Before chat mentions it, I realize I completely butchered the spelling of Sanborn's name here. So next time I won't do that. I butchered it and then I did it twice. So apology.
All
right.
Jeez, Cliff.
Yeah, where's my
That's it. You're out of here. You're butchering one of our players' names, Cliff. It's just you and I from now on, Dan.
Fuck you, Cliff. No,
Fuck you, Cliff.
All right, where's my editor on this? Hey, get that editor off this program.
I relied on you. I copied and pasted it.
That's because all editors.
I should have looked at it.
Yes. All right. Hey, anyways. All right.
I wanted this surprise. I didn't want to know what it was.
There you go. Sanborn sacks. All right. Look, give Sanborn some love this game. 2 sacks, 12 tackles. Roquan who?
Right. And an interception that he should have had. I mean, that was another turning point in the game. We would have had momentum there. I don't know what that. I didn't really actually see the penalty on Johnson? Did you guys see it? Like, was it really a hands to the face thing?
No, that's what I'm saying. He got hit in the, like, it appeared like to be in the chest and just fell down like it was a kung fu movie from the 70s where like the kicks don't really hit.
Yeah.
It was like he got hit in the stomach and was just like, and fell back. It was a Vladi Divac kind of flop. It was,
Oh, I gotcha.
it was horrible. It was fake. It wasn't real at all.
I think Detroit hired some kind of Hollywood people to train them how to do that.
Yeah, it was a flop.
Or they brought their own refs with.
Or both.
It's like they're allowing the opposing team to bring their refs.
Right. Well, that brings us right into the next point. Goff is LeBron. Now you saw the peanut punch on the ball. He's not pushing Goff out of bounds. He's peanut punching the ball, and then Goff realizes he's just got nudged, and he almost dives for the ground.
Right. That play just. I wanted to pull it up. I wanted to pull it up and have it for a video to pull up, but it just pisses me off too much to even have done that. It's
well, the worst part is the refs bought it.
Right.
You know, aren't they professionals? Can't they tell the difference between someone getting hit and someone throwing themselves on the ground?
Again, that's why you should have 2 replays a game.
Mm-hmm.
Or challenges, I should say.
With your challenges, you should be able to use them to judge penalties if you want to. What's wrong with that?
Do you think you should just have your only 2 red flags and you can use them for either or you get 2 for each?
The NFL isn't going to want all the stoppages, so I think that you start out with the 2, and if it ends up working out okay, you know, maybe they advance to 3 down the road or something. But I think to start with, let's see, you got your 2 challenges and you can challenge penalties.
Or just even one penalty challenge a game. So you don't give them multiple, because that would really, add to the time. But if you just gave them 1 per game on top of the 2 challenges for, they already have.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that wouldn't add that much time to the game. It's just 1, but I mean, fuck, we all know where that 1 is that should be used,
Yep, agreed. I think the NFL has a hard time with adding any time to games, though. They need that commercial time.
It's true. But they can still put a commercial during that challenge.
There you go.
Yeah.
Now that would make sense.
They do now. I mean, they always go to a commercial break when they're challenging anything else.
Right. So, best of both worlds.
Money in their pocket.
Oh, okay. Moving on to number 16. We're in the home stretch here. The Sanborn interception saves the day. Bears win. Yay.
Yes. You're like, this game is over.
I actually stood up and cheered when he made that catch, an interception. I was like, wow, the Bears are going to win this game, and all is good. And then Jalen Johnson gets the penalty, and Detroit gets the ball back. Was this the one where Jalen Johnson was doing his Three Stooges impression? Poking the guy in the eye? Was that the one?
Yeah. Was that the actual one that was real instead of the other one that was just you push him in his chest?
Yeah. I mean, if you're poking him in the eye, I mean, that's funny. Sorry, I don't want anybody to get hurt, but I know what that feels like. We all know what that feels like, so it's sort of funny.
I'm looking in chat here, and I want to know. Let's take a poll from chat people. Should Kitty block Don Burr? I want to know your answers. Yes or no? You guys want to block Don Burr, get him the fuck out of here so we can talk about this loss without him in chat, since he wouldn't come on the show because he's yellow-bellied? Let's hear your yes or no. Let's go.
No,
guys.
let Don live. Don's fine, man. No. Don is an agitator who should be with the Lions podcast, but if he wants to listen to our misery, let him have it.
There's one yes.
If I don't have nice things to say about people, I generally don't say anything.
Tally up the yeses and the nos, Kitty, and we'll decide whether or not we want to oust him tonight, because block that. I thought he was 12, Leo, living in his mom's basement. All right, go ahead, Cliff. Or where are we at here?
I'm busy not saying anything.
You're on
All
number
right.
17. Bad Justin, good Justin.
We are. Bad Justin. Pick 6 on a bad decision and a bad pass. I mean, he was getting hit by 2 linemen at the time he's throwing that ball, but there were also 2 cornerback safety linebacker people right around the ball. And so it would have had to be a perfect pass to be made while he's getting hit. So just take the sack on that one.
Did you think that watching the replay when they showed it from the camera angle that was behind Justin, there was a personal foul roughing the quarterback on that? Because as the one defender was wrapping him up, he's throwing the ball, and then the ball's gone out of his hand, but the second defender came in and just shoved him to the ground even faster than he would have gone when he was already on his motion going down to the ground. Did you guys see that?
If that was Rodgers or Brady, of course it's a penalty.
He was already, in other words, his legs were wrapped up. He was already like almost on his knees as he was throwing the ball, and then the guy came from behind and just slammed him to the ground from his back, pushed him like with twice the speed and force into the ground than it needed to happen. And that being a quarterback is the kind of shit that they made all these quarterback rules for. And going back to last year into this year, we haven't seen those calls on fields. We started to see them in the beginning of the year, but they're not really happening as much as they should be happening. There's been times we've seen him stand in the pocket and take a fucking crushing blow after he threw the ball and not get a call. And it's happened on a handful of times, and I might be wrong on this specific occasion. I have to go back and kind of relook at it. But that, to my point, it's like for some reason they're not giving him the calls. It's like they're like, oh, you're just a running quarterback. Fuck you. We're not going to give you those calls. That's how I feel. I feel like there's some prejudice in the NFL against our quarterback.
Young quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's against the team, not because we're Bears fans. I think it's against any team that's not winning.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know I don't watch any Jaguar games, but I bet they say the same thing about the kid from Clemson that they have.
Mm-hmm.
Just whenever you're a bad team, the NFL, like, you're not getting the penalties that the good teams get.
And then you have that 0-7 team lined up against the 7-0 team, and then they call every fucking play against the 7-0 team because they want to have it be that, the game that they were like looking past, the trap game. Oh, let's make this the trap game for this team. I swear to God, it's you can almost predict the games when there's going to be shitty officiating.
Tooch knows how to follow the money.
Yeah,
there's definitely some lines in Vegas are off when you're starting the week out, and you watch the way the money goes, and it makes you wonder when the game suddenly goes the same way.
By the way, for anyone who doesn't know in here, like his weekend sports betting tips is awesome. Like you'll learn something on there. Check that out on the Barroom too with Tooch. That's pretty good.
Okay, so that was bad, Justin. That was a mistake on his part. Without a doubt, he should have just taken the sack on that one. So that ties the game up. So it's tied up 24-24. I think that Justin was a little bit annoyed at himself right then. So he gets the ball back, and what does he do? He outruns the cornerbacks to score a 67-yard touchdown.
Breaking his own record. That is fantastic. Is that the rook? Is that an NFL record?
I believe so.
Was the 61-yarder an NFL record? I wonder.
The one he set against Miami was the record before, eclipsing Michael Vick from 2002 against Minnesota.
But that was for the most yards in a game. Was it for the longest run too?
I thought that was for the longest run.
I think
so.
Okay,
so then he broke another 3 records, which means he broke an NFL record, a Bears record. Oh, so 2, an NFL record and a Bears record.
Yep, 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, 5 records in 2 weeks if you want to add them all up.
But the point that I really thought was special about that is he's outrunning not 1 but 2 cornerbacks. How can a quarterback outrun cornerbacks? You don't see that too often.
Right. They're saying he's the fastest guy on the field.
And he looked like it on that play.
Yeah. He
All
kind of
right,
got gassed at the end, though. You're like, oh God, is he going to make it?
yeah.
He's running
But he
so fucking
did.
much. I don't even know how he can pass the ball. He's got to be out of wind.
He reminds me a little bit of the Water Boy, if the Water Boy was a quarterback. All right, and then this is the game losing moment. Santos misses the kick. Oh no, Mr. Bill! For anybody who's an old Saturday Night Live fan.
I love Saturday Night Live.
Oh
If
no,
anyone hasn't
Mr.
seen
Bill!
our Drippy Dick sponsor, you would know that. Should we play the Drippy Dick sponsor, our sponsor, Kitty? I don't know, maybe not.
Greetings. I'm Dr. Dick Richards. Have you ever thought you were done going pee-pee, only moments later to find a drip or 2 or 3 in your underwear? Have you ever felt ashamed? Well, feel ashamed no more. Even the iconic legendary musician Elvis Presley has had his own share of drippy dick. For all the males and the they, them, there, though, thou arts out there, anyone with a dick, I've invented a revolutionary patented design called Drippy Dicks. Our state-of-the-art patented design can absorb up to 2.5 cups of pee-pee. Place adhesive side down in your banana hammock. Watch Drippy Dicks go to work. The banana hammock is still dry. Just look at that absorption. Drippy Dicks. Made by a dick for a dick. Drippy Dicks.
We finally got sponsored, so subscribe to the Bears Country Podcast and to the Barroom Network and get your free box of Drippy Dicks today. Thank you, Drippy Dicks. Go ahead, Cliff.
That's Bears Country Podcast. If you want to get those free Drippy Dicks from Shorty.
Shorty, that's not me. It's from Dr. Dick Richards.
Yes, but he's using you as his.
He looks kind of like me, but that wasn't me.
Yeah.
I
No,
don't ever wear a
not
banana
at all.
like
He's
that.
long lost relative.
Dan's just like,
No, again, I'm just here, man. I'm just letting Cliff
You're
get
gonna
through
need
this.
some Drippy Dicks one day, Dan.
I hope it's not soon.
You'll need some Drippy Dicks one day.
I hope I don't need to use it any day soon.
I'm still okay, so you guys have hope.
No, Leo, I'm not going to divulge, but according to Dr. Dick Richards, that pair of underwear was bought just for that commercial. So, yeah.
No, it wasn't. Hey, Triple R is mentioning, I'm interjecting a little bit of humor tonight. And I mean, hey, this loss sucked. We all know that. So, let's have we can go over the game and have a little bit of fun. We follow the 24-hour rule that Eberflus talks about. After today, the game is done. We move on to Atlanta.
Yep. And
all right.
That's why on Bears Country Podcast, I do a Wednesday show with Lynn Hayden, and she is fucking hilarious. And she always makes me feel a little better about the game on Wednesday as we move forward to the next game. So check that out too on Bears Country Podcast. Go ahead, buddy.
All right, here we go. Last couple. Number 18, the defense steps up, the offense falls down. All right, the Bears D forces a punt after Detroit comes. All right, the Bears forces I'm losing track. Bears D forces a punt. The Bears get the ball back, and they go 3 and out, like Dan was saying. They run the ball 3 times, don't even come close to getting a first down. Why did they suddenly put the prevent offense in there?
I don't know. But why did a 2-minute offense?
Prevent. They're trying to run the clock out with, I think there was like 5-6 minutes to go. And they're run, and no first down.
I don't know. I mean, I was wondering the same thing. It was just the end of the game just fell flat, didn't it? It's like, where's the excitement that we had in the first half of the game? Where is that right now when we need it the most? And on that final play, you're seeing Justin Fields run around, and he avoids 2 tackles. You're like, oh my God, he can actually make something happen. It looks like he's about to throw the ball, and then they take him down, and then you're just like, you're looking for hope still. Like, is there anything left we can do to win this game? But it's over.
Well, here to finish it up, Jalen Johnson can't cover a tight end. When did this happen? There's that long pass that got Detroit, the longest pass of that last drive they had. And Jalen Johnson is covering the tight end. Easy.
That was like the fastest tight end I've ever seen in my life. I thought for a second that was, what's his name from the Patriots, that little slot receiver.
Edelman?
Yeah, like for 1 second, it was like, who is this guy? Number 85 just looks like he's running a 4.4 right past Jalen Johnson. That was like a 50.
Jalen Johnson certainly wasn't ready for that.
Yeah.
It looked like he was taking a cigarette break or something and just letting the guy run by him.
Smoking Jalen.
Yeah.
Remember the smoking Jay Cutler thing for
Yeah.
a decade?
Well, he was, injured most of the week. So, like to St. Omni, what he said, he was on one leg. So maybe the injury that he was suffering and trying to play through had something to do with that. But
it's possible.
That was ridiculous to see the tight end just take that like deep slant for. He thought he was going to take it to the house the way he was running.
And then we get to the final play of the game, almost the final Bears play of the game. We all saw this coming. I think when Santos missed that extra point, I think that was right when I had the feeling, oh no, we're going to lose. And the last play that the Bears had, like you were saying, Shorty, Fields is evading the entire offensive line or defensive line. He's around this guy. He's around this guy. He's spinning. He's juking. He's around this guy. And then he's trying to get open to throw the ball. And there was one too many who takes him down.
Yep.
And
it was just gut-wrenching.
Yep. Although, I don't know. These losses are not bothering me that much for whatever reason. Maybe it's future hope.
Yeah, I mean.
I can't subscribe to that theory whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, you can't subscribe. I know, it's heartbreaking. I like how you do that. It'd be nice to see them, have a chance at least to get to the playoffs. I know it's nice to. You get to a certain point, you start thinking, oh, the high draft pick would be nice, And I know you're not there yet, Dan, and I'm still not there yet.
I'm never there because there's not a guarantee that your first round pick is going to be a home run anyway. Right. They're busts every year. And the way the Bears track record goes with first round picks, I mean, there's like Walter and Kyle Long and who else was good? Harbaugh was pretty good for a bit. Wilbur Marshall was great. I'm just saying there's not a lot of great number one draft picks that the Bears have had. So who's to say that, we keep losing now and we're going to draft a great player next year? It may not happen, guys. So the fact that there's this certitude with it to make it seem like it's okay to justify losing, it just puts me in a spiral into depression. I'm not saying this because I need a fucking hug. I'm just telling you the truth. Like I care about this shit, man, and it bothers me,
No,
I have more faith. I have more faith in polls than I did in Pace or in anybody that's been GM on the Bears ever since Lovey's guy. Oh, who was it?
Jerry Angelo.
Yes.
So I think that's the one thing I do have hope in is that they actually got the regime correct, and they're going to build on what we have. I mean, I think the trades that they made were good. We still have a second round pick, although it's the Ravens. We can just hope for them to lose out, because it'd be nice to have our second round pick. But I have confidence in their ability to keep adding to this with the next draft class. I really do. Well, you guys want to move on from this solemn shit and go to a little segment that I wanted to kind of do with this? I have a friend that just out of nowhere mailed me this Chicago Bears trivia book. So...
And the first question you asked me the other day, I did not get correctly. He asked me, was Richard Dent the first player to ever wear number 95? And I was like, ever? Like, that can't be true. And it was true.
Wow.
So let's pull this up here.
Oh, I know this one.
Was the franchise fee to join the American Professional Football Association in 1920, 2 years before the league renamed itself the National Football League? What was the franchise fee to join the American Professional Football Association in 1920? Anyone know this before you?
I do not.
Before we give the answer?
I believe it's $100.
All right, Cliff, your answer is $100. What do we have from chat? Who here in chat knows this answer? What are your answers, guys? Spit them out. A, B, C, or D? I'll give you a timer. Maybe we should pull up the 10-second timer. We don't do that. That'll be awful. Okay, we got Ron saying 100. Saint Omni saying.
He's saying $1.
I think he meant to say 100. 100. All right.
It's Saint Omni. He probably means $1.
All right. I'm gonna say the answer now. It's A. You're right, Cliff. It's $100. Cliff, you got to stop.
And we're done. I win. Yay.
All right. Next trivia question. In which season did the Chicago franchise win its first league championship? 1920, 1921, 1922, or 1923?
I don't know that one either.
This could be a trick question here.
It's not a trick question, actually. It seems like it might be a trick question. What do you guys? Come on, say on me. We're going to get to this century. We're starting with the beginning of the book, okay? We got a little while to go.
Here, we'll let the guys, hey, chat, you guys can make some guesses at this if you want, and then I'll make a guess at it.
Yeah, let's get your guesses here in chat. Spit them out here in chat. We don't want to sit here too long waiting for you before we give away the answer. We got two 1922s. Dan, what's your guess? Just
I have no fucking clue. No clue.
So you can't guess?
I mean, I could say anything you want me to say. I don't know the answer though.
He says it's blue. Dan says it's blue and orange.
We got J-Rock saying 21. Cliff, what's your answer?
All right, I really don't know. The reason I thought it might be a trick question was when were the Decatur Staleys moved to Chicago? So I'm just going to say 22 because I really don't know.
The answer is 1921.
So close.
J-Rock, you were right. 1921. So they were established in 1920. They were the Decatur Staleys, right? And then they, well, I don't want to give too much away because then there's more questions that kind of evolve around this one. So hint, hint. So we only have 5. So we have 3 more to go, okay? So here's the next trivia question. Which of these firsts did the Chicago Bears not accomplish? A, buy a player from another team. B, play in an indoor game. C, play in the first national championship game. Or D, play on national television.
Yeah, I don't know the 1920s, bro. I'm sorry.
Don't worry, it gets better, Dan.
I'm still thinking here. All right. First, now when it says play in an indoor game, would that be first to play in an indoor game?
Right. You would think that they wouldn't be the first to play in an indoor game because that would be the team who had the stadium, right?
Whichever team had an indoor stadium first.
Right. That's
what that wasn't the Bears. All right, buy a player from another team. I think they did that actually.
But were they the first to do it?
I don't know for sure. I need to pick up a copy of that trivia book so I can get these all right.
They were the first to not accomplish this. Play in the first national championship game? That answer, C, right there, coincides with the previous question because
I was going to say that seems like the who's buried in Grant's tomb
right
type of question.
So,
where if they didn't get into the 20 championship, then they didn't play in the first national championship game.
so of all the firsts that the Bears did, the one first that they did not accomplish was D, play on national television. So,
Oh,
Leo Factor, you're correct on that.
okay. Now, Shorty, for extra credit, which two teams were the teams who played first on national television?
I don't know. Do you know?
Washington, Dallas.
The what?
Washington, Dallas.
Washington and Dallas, huh?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay.
But I'm just throwing that out there.
We can just pretend you're right. All right, here's the next one. The Chicago Bears faced Washington in, it's funny that you said this. The Chicago Bears faced Washington in 4 consecutive NFL championship games from 1940 to 1943. True or false?
That is 100% true.
I'm going to say false. I don't know, but I don't know if they played Washington 4 straight years though. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. The 40s aren't my decade either.
Cliff?
I'm saying true just because it's such a weird statement that why would they throw it out there if it's false?
4 straight, yeah. Okay, the answer is false. B.
Yeah.
Ron, you're correct.
So is Dan, for that matter.
Yes, well done, Dan.
Not to call myself in third person, but
because I'm not Dan anymore, or the other Dan. I'm Shorty now.
Dan,
Have a
tell us
hard
how
time
good
with that.
Dan's doing here.
All right, final trivia question, guys. Who was not one of the coaches that replaced George Halas in between his 4 separate 10-year stints as the Bears head coach? So he had 4 separate 10-year stints, and in between, who was not one of these coaches? I should read them off, shouldn't I? A, Ralph Jones. B, Patty Driscoll. C, Jim Dooley. D, Hunk Anderson.
I think the Counting Crows made a song after Ralph Jones. Wasn't it Mr. Jones and Me or whatever?
Is that what that was about?
I think it was about Ralph Jones. I don't even know who Ralph Jones is. I'm just being honest. The first Bears coach that I'm really aware of, other than
I
Halas
have
himself, is
no fucking clue who Ralph Jones is either.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Cliff, do you know who Ralph Jones is?
No idea, except he may have been a coach.
It could just be some random name, right?
I don't like these trivia questions.
Don't worry, they get better. We're starting out in the beginning. I could read off a couple more here if you want to go later.
Oh,
I only had
yeah.
5 pulled up. Okay, so
Yeah, I'm going to say Hunk. I'm just going to say Hunk because I don't ever recall seeing the Hunk name in any Bears material.
okay, so one of the coaches that was not a coach during one of the 4 separate 10-year stints, or separate stints of the 10 years that each stint that George Halas was the coach. The answer is number C, Jim Dooley.
Yeah. Good job,
So
Chad.
Casey L., you are correct. Dan, do you want me to make you feel better with some older ones? Sure.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, hell, I may not know them either, but I definitely don't know these like who was president during this, like the Calvin Coolidge era. I don't know those. So.
Which player did the Bears not send away in the trade with Dallas for linebacker Barry Minter? Jim Schwantz, John Roper, Marcus Paul, Kelly Blackwell.
Okay.
Which player did
No,
the
let me.
Bears
Okay, so it
not
was Marcus
send away?
Paul, Kelly Blackwell. Who were the other two again? John Roper, and who was the first one?
Jim
Schwantz.
Schwantz.
I don't even remember who Jim Schwantz is. I know the other 3. So we're saying that they were not traded to Dallas, right?
Right. So when the Bears traded for linebacker Barry Minter, they sent a player there was a Bears player that went to Dallas in the trade. Which one was it not? Was it not Jim Schwantz? Was it not John Roper? Was it not Marcus Paul?
It was not John Roper.
It was
That's
not
my-
John Roper.
All
Okay.
right, we'll go with that.
So let me go over to here and find out what the answer is for that.
So they sent 3 players for Minter.
That's what I was just thinking. Which player did the Bears not send away in the trade for Dallas linebacker Barry Minter? So that means they had to send all 3 of the other ones in the trade, but one of them?
Sounds like it.
I'm going to say Roper was not among them, and I have a follow-up to that trivia question for you.
The answer to that is Jim Schwantz.
I don't even know who that is. So
yeah, I remember him being on the Bears. So
I remember.
Well, I've got a trivia question for you all. Who was the person that succeeded Barry Minter at linebacker for the Bears? When Barry Minter got hurt, they moved a gentleman into a spot. Who was that person?
My answer is Brian Urlacher.
You're correct.
You should have given him some time.
Well, I mean, you're right, though.
I say Urlacher.
You're also correct.
He was on delay.
Well, he's correct, nevertheless.
Yeah.
No, I said it before Dan even asked the question. I was on delay.
Well, so what do you guys, how are you feeling moving forward now? What do you guys feel about this next game?
I'm happy about the year so far. Everybody seems to be so depressed and the Bears are losing. You know, I'm looking long term. Yeah, and I understand you guys would not believe how much grief I get from that from certain people about talking long term. Oh, we've been talking long term since the Super Bowl. But I do think that things are different now. I see progress with the Bears, and it's not bothering me that much that they're losing. Would I have liked to beat Detroit? Sure. But every loss is a better draft pick. So 6 of one, half dozen of the other.
I can get behind that too. I mean, there's only one way that you can get through a season and not be miserable, and that's trying to find the bright spots in everything that you can find the bright spots in. And you kind of have to do like a pro and a con, right? It's like once you have enough pros, you can move forward to go, okay, I can be optimistic and there's enough to build on in the future here with this team. And I can at the very least just like, no, I don't need to jump off a bridge or light my hair on fire after this loss. I get that. It does just suck, when you're a fan like we are, like Dan is, it gets hard to watch games when you're out of it and you're that bad. And, but that's just part of what it means to be a Bears fan. I mean, we've been doing this forever, and we have this, I think, regime that we can, to your point, Cliff, that we can feel good about, that we can actually feel like we have a sense for the first time in a long time.
The future.
And we felt like we had it with Nagy, and it was oh, God damn it, I just said it, didn't I?
I'm not even going to get into that. I have zero thought.
We had like this moment of hope, right? And it was just instantly squelched by mediocrity. And,
Man, I just can't buy in. I'm the negative person here, but the 0-1 team's 13-3, and then you got this young, fast kid in the middle, Urlacher, and you got the big mammoth trailer and Ted Washington, and next year they're 4-12.
Right.
And 05, 06, you go to the second round, go to the Super Bowl, you lose, and then you don't make the playoffs 3 straight years. And then you trade for Jay, and you're like, oh, now we've got a quarterback. And you know what? We made it to the NFC Championship, but didn't get any farther. And that's the only time he made the playoffs with us. Now we can make up any excuses for Jay or for management or circumstances, but that's what happened. Then Nagy, like you said, he's running Akeem Hicks and Freezer left, and he's doing all this homage to previous Bears teams, and he's 12-4. Maybe this is our year, and then the double doink, and we haven't made the playoffs but once since. It's just, and then like you win the championship, and you got that great team. You only won one Super Bowl with that team. Right. Way above average team the rest of the way with Ditka, 90-91. Don't go anywhere near the Super Bowl. Be on the second round after losing the 88 championship game. And then the Wani years, you make it to the second round, and that's it. it's just like, man, my whole life has been like, oh, let's try to get back there. Well, we got this now. Now we can do it. We've got Fields now. We drafted Trubisky. We had Cutler. We've got Rex. I mean, fuck, man. I'm sick of just like hoping for next year. I'm 42 years old now. I don't know how much time I have left. Like, fuck, next year I could be fucking stricken with ass cancer. Like, I don't know. Like the 7 games left this season matter. If they don't matter to anybody else, they matter to me.
Cliff, you're how much older than Dan, and you have optimism, and he's that down.
I'm a glass half full kind of guy, though.
You probably do.
You know, in my whole life, I'm glass half full. I think that good things are going to happen, not bad things are going to happen. Yeah. And what I would say is look at the scoring that Justin Fields and the Bears have put up with a, bottom of the league salary team this year. Last few games, 30-plus points each game. How many teams in the NFL would love to be putting up 30-plus points?
Yeah.
So at this point in the rebuild, and you're putting up 30-plus points, that's a pretty good sign. It's not just one game, not like that Tampa game that Nagy, had.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm not even going to get into that. I have zero thought.
I should have played it twice because Dan said it earlier. Hold on.
I'm not even going to get into that. I have zero thought.
There you go. No,
I was going to say you missed that one.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
But that's okay. You caught it.
I always thought that he looked like the doctor from Halloween. Loomis. Like I could see him shouting like, I shot him 6 times. At the end of Halloween and Halloween 2.
St. Omni is making me laugh.
That's full of vodka. Nice. Is there ice in there, or is it just straight up vodka?
I need to have a drink tonight, just for in honor of that comment.
I'm glass half full too. At least I'm trying to remain that. I mean, at some point, I'm probably going to go off on a fucking rant because I eventually do every year. But I'm waiting to save it, and I'm trying to keep Dan's spirits up. When we were at the game and we left and we went to dinner afterwards, Dan and Aldo and our whole crew went across the street to Kitty O'Shea's on Michigan Avenue. Love that place. That's where I met Horatio Sands, and I sat there and talked to him for like an hour and a half. And called my friends, and he talked to them on the phone and shit. It was that cool. From Saturday Night Live. And we went there that night, and Dan was just so down. And I'm like, Dan, come on. Like, it's a moral victory. Come on. And so by the time we left, I grabbed him, and I just give him a big smooch on the side of both cheeks. I'm like, it's going to be okay, Dan. It's going to be okay. So, Dan, when you need some optimism, you just talk to me, buddy. I'll try to talk you out of the proverbial gutter of Beardom.
I don't know if that's possible, but I know that when I was watching the game yesterday, even when it was 10-3 or when Santos missed, when I'm watching the game, I feel optimistic. And I did have that sense of like, oh God, we're going to lose 31-30 when he missed. But I was like, you know what? Maybe this is where the defense will make a stop. And, so when I'm watching the game, I'm not sitting there thinking about necessarily, well, what happened in week 9 or week 8 or week 7. It's just when you get downtime, like in between games and stuff. So
I know.
I don't know, man. Like this shit matters to me, though. That's all I can say.
Hey, Dan, I will say, if we get to next year and we've got a few star players that we brought in through free agency and the draft, and the Bears halfway through the season still suck, all right, then I'm going to start being depressed. I will be right on the same bandwagon you were on at that point.
Well, I don't want to have that spread because, you don't want to be down and stuff. I know how bad I feel about things at times. So I hope you're not, I just don't want you to feel the same fucking shit in my head. That's all I can say. You don't want to feel that way.
I'm always happy.
Let's get off of this then. This is a depressing subject.
All right, everybody's talking scary movies. Now, I wanted to mention.
St. Omni says, let's talk horror movies. Scariest movie, 2021 Bear season.
Yeah. Hey, I wanted to mention, though, that I recently discovered the new Creature Features on YouTube. And it's got, I forget who the guy is, but that's because there's this woman, Tangela, in it. And her name's Ali something or other. But there's nothing about her on the web. And if you guys haven't seen Tangela on Creature Features, they've got some great B-class, B-level movies on there. So something to check out.
I like B-level movies.
I watched Damnation Alley on there the other night.
Nice.
Which sucked. Well, let me say, Damnation Alley, I liked it when it first came out, but it really sucked.
I like those good B movies when you realize you've been watching it for 40 minutes and you're like, what the fuck am I watching this for? And you're like, well, now I have to finish watching it to the end to see what happens. Those are the kind of movies I like. I grew up on those, My Kitty worked on Strangers. So that's why my favorite, scariest movie is The Strangers. Kitty worked on that. She was an accountant on The Strangers. She got some good stories about that. That was out in the middle of fucking nowhere. Like, that was almost scary to go to work, like literally in that cabin. It was pretty cool. So what's your scariest movie, Dan?
I've shared this many times with Aldo, so if anyone's already heard the story, I apologize. But when I was a kid, I could, they would just throw me in front of HBO and just let me go. It's a way to, we know he'll be okay now. Like, we don't have to watch him for hours. So I was watching films that weren't necessarily kid. Like, I remember watching A Nightmare on Elm Street in '85 on HBO, and I wasn't even 5 yet, but I knew that I liked it, man. I didn't understand what all the sex and stuff was, but I knew I liked that too. I liked the girls. I liked the movie. It didn't scare me. I knew for some reason, even at that fragile state, that Fred Krueger wasn't real. But the movie, to answer your question, the movie that I thought, you know what? He's not real, but that goddamn dog, fucking Cujo. I saw Cujo when I was 4 as well. And to this day, I have fear of just my death being eaten alive by a rabid dog. Or when I went to Florida, I was like, what, maybe an alligator, just a horrible death by dog or alligator or bear or something. And it's all triggered by watching Cujo at that young of age. It was terrifying to me. Even today, if I watch it, I can feel stressed out, but I like it for some reason. It's almost like a roller coaster ride.
It brings you back to when you were a kid and you were stressed out about it, right?
I could reconcile my head that, Linda Blair's not really possessed.
Right.
Michael Myers isn't real. Chucky isn't real, but that goddamn dog. I saw Hellraiser in the theater in '87 and I was 6. Didn't scare me at all. But that goddamn dog, that thing could be outside waiting on me. And I just, that dog is real.
Did you guys ever see Evil Dead 2?
Yeah, I like the first one.
Yeah, love the Evil Dead.
Love Evil Dead 2.
Now, I actually have a dog story. I mean, I know dogs. I've always owned dogs, familiar with dogs. I'm showing a farm to customers, and we're walking around the place, and there's a dog free, like German Shepherd mix or something. And this dog is barking at us, won't stop barking at us. And I'm watching it, and it keeps trying to get behind us. And then the farmer is saying, oh, yeah, that dog bit somebody sometime in the past, but she won't bite nobody now. And I'm watching the dog, and the dog sees me watching her, and she's trying to circle around behind me or the customer. So I keep turning to keep watching her, and it's making her mad. This dog wants to get behind us because she wants to get us. She wants to bite us in the butt. So, Dan, if you ever run into a dog like that, do not turn your back on them or they will bite you in the butt.
I don't want to be bitten in the ass or the groin or the face. I don't want to be bitten anywhere.
I had my whole face chewed into by a German Shepherd when I was a kid.
Oh, God.
My dad's Mustang broke down in Wisconsin coming back from our farm up there and back to Illinois. And we had to go to a gas station for them to fix it. And I was cuddling with this German Shepherd the entire time. They had in their room, little that I had puppies, but I wasn't paying attention. I didn't even know they had puppies because I was just loving on this dog. And they're like, oh, the car's ready. We have to leave. And I'm like, I have to go say bye to this German Shepherd that I made friends with. And I just went down there. I think it was near the puppies at that time. And then just took a chunk out of my face. And I had stitches, however many stitches. It was a lot of fun. So I can understand your fear of Cujo. Cujo's a fucked up movie, man. That's a good one. That one scares the hell out of me too.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
Even to this day.
Now I'm the flip side on that because Nightmare on Elm Street scared the crap out of me. It made me feel afraid to go to sleep for a while.
Yeah.
I don't. It's
I
like
didn't get that at all.
It's like
Go ahead.
American Werewolf in London. That's one of those movies where the guy wakes up and then he wakes up again. He's still dreaming. Oh,
Right.
that
Where it
double
fucks
wake
with
up
your
is
head.
always scary.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, for sure.
Two of the
Yeah.
movies with the best special effects makeup of all time would be one is an American Werewolf in London when he's transforming into a werewolf, and two, The Fly with Jeff Goldblum when he's going through the metamorphosis of that. So, and again, there's no CGI yet.
Right.
So this is just straight up people working on the set. Those movies, to me, special effects are probably the best two of all time.
Oh, Christine too, St. Omni. That was a good one.
Yeah, I liked
Christine.
Christine a lot. I thought the ending was kind of weak, though. I just like, what was his name? Keith. What was his name? He was in The Legend of Billie Jean. He was in Back to School. Keith Gordon.
Yes.
He was the guy that's driving the car, and he just, like, he goes through the windshield and he's just dead. It's pretty anticlimactic.
Yeah.
It's just like Michael Myers in the last one, like 57 times people have tried to do all these incredible things to kill him. And then, like, he just kind of gets stabbed and he's dead at the end of the Halloween ends. And I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but it's just like so easy. He died so easily. Yeah, I love The Shining as well. The Shining is fucking fantastic. And so is the sequel, Dr. Sleep.
Mm-hmm. But they could be that last Friday the 13th. They could have made it look so easy because he's not actually dead, and they want to keep him alive for another future one. Dan,
Well,
how it's been going.
I was talking about the last Halloween, and
the Halloween.
It would appear that because they put him through a chipper at the end of it, but he had already died, and it just was so anticlimactic the way he died. But I don't want to spoil it; like somebody will be pissed off. So fuck.
Oh, I haven't seen that. Is that the one you saw in the theater recently?
That is the one I saw in the theater in October on the 16th.
I thought you were saying you went to see the Halloween movie like replayed in the theater.
I did see the original one replayed in theater.
Okay.
That was in like the 20th anniversary of it or something, somewhere around 2008. The Thing is a good one. The original
that scared
Thing.
the shit out of me as a kid too.
I like Dr. Sleep. I thought Dr. Sleep was amazing.
I haven't seen that one.
Oh man, I think it's fantastic.
Is that a newer one?
It's from 2019, and I'm such a fan of The Shining that it would have, like, in my opinion, I would be a harsh critic of it, is what I'm saying. And it still surpassed my expectations and desires and longing. And I just thought it was great. To me, if you like The Shining, I remember Dr. Giggles, but if you like The Shining, it would be hard pressed not to like Dr. Sleep, in my opinion.
Do you guys watch scary movies around Halloween all the time too, or is it just us?
I just kind of watch them all year round.
I don't watch that many movies, so I try to, and you guys give me a big list of ones to watch, and now the list is like that long.
You better get started.
Now,
Kitty and I like to sit around in the dark and watch, those old scary movies and find like some of the cheesiest ones we can find, around Halloween. It just makes us feel like kids again,
Right, yeah.
It's like the Stranger Things. That movie takes you back to that time too. Great movie, or TV show, I should say.
well, with me, the scariest early moment I had in the theaters was during Jaws when the head popped out of the porthole. And I mean that the whole audience freaked out over that one.
Mm-hmm.
So that would, I was young, I was a kid, but that was probably one of my scariest moments.
The two scenes from that movie, again, it's from 75 and I wasn't born yet, but two scenes from it that are just terrifying. At the very beginning with the sunset and the pretty girl gets in the water and gets killed. And then at the end when Robert Shaw is eaten alive, on the boat with Roy Scheider. It's just fuck, man. I remember hearing anyone associate the movie like Richard Dreyfuss and them, they thought that the shark looked so fake that they expected the movie to bomb, but it looked fucking real to me when when Robert Shaw's dying there. That's terrifying. Again, I always have a fear of dying some way like that anyway. So I just thought, God damn, for a PG movie, that was terrifying. Now it spawned a lot of shitty sequels, but the first
the music score.
John Williams is just great.
I mean, that movie was at the time it was the most terrifying movie of all time, and it was talked about. It still is to this day by all of us who witnessed it when it was new. Anyone watching it now who's 15 or 16 would be like, that movie's fucking terrible, but it was great at the time.
Yeah, I think I was like 13-ish or something when I saw it, and it was just at that impressionable age that still keeps me out of water, out of the ocean over my head.
Mm-hmm. I was snorkeling in Maui one time, and I looked up and I realized, holy shit, I'm pretty far away from the shore, but I'm pretty good. And then I go back down and I'm snorkeling some more, and I see a shark. It's probably, I don't know, 5.5 feet long. And I was terrified, of course. It was all the way down at the bottom, going around, and when I was, probably 20 feet above it, but it just put me into this terror, right? And I turned around and I realized I was like twice as far away from the shore as I was when I had last looked up. And now I have to try to swim to that, not in a panic, right? But it was a small shark. I don't think it had any harm for me, but in your brain, you're just thinking, that's the first shark I've ever fucking seen in my life. And I'm way away from the shore. You're terrified. You don't know you don't want to flail around like a
Wounded
sea
fish
lion or something. Yeah. So, but luckily I survived. But it was terrifying.
Here, I'm an injured fish. Come get me.
Yeah. With these big long fins on my feet.
I'll give you one more thing that just made me cringe in a movie. And unfortunately I need to go. I got some stuff to do still at work. And as I was telling you Saturday, it probably would be one of those days because I have to go to 911 tonight that I couldn't stay late for. So, right. But there was a movie from 2009 called Antichrist. It's got Willem Dafoe in it. If you all remember him from Platoon and To Live and Die in LA. He was in some movies in the 80s. But anyway, his lady, they lost a child. And he's already a therapist, so he's trying to treat his wife, which he knows is unethical, but he's also trying to work through the trauma of them losing a child themselves. But I don't know if it's a metaphor, or if she really is possessed, but one point she cuts her own clit off with a pair of scissors, and I'm like, oh my God. But the part that just kills me, she smashes him in the fucking dick with a cinder block and starts sucking his dick immediately afterwards. And he ejaculates blood.
Oh God!
And because it shows this guy's cock, or at least somebody's cock, a lot. And
bring in the extra.
Well, her cutting off her own clit with scissors and then smashing him in the fucking dick with making him cum blood. Just I couldn't even. I closed my eyes, oh God! So I don't know if it's scary, but it made me uncomfortable. And most movies don't. I can watch anything. I can watch a Human Centipede and laugh when the fucking girl's shit in the other one's mouth or whatever. But
it's like that scene from American History X where he has him put his mouth.
Oh, the curb scene. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, the curb scene is worse than the fucking ass rape.
Yeah, no shit.
Because just seeing it, you can hear the sound of his teeth touching the curb.
Oh, I know. You're like, oh, it was terrible.
Yeah.
All right, that's 2 movies I'm not gonna watch.
Yeah. Well, I think we should wrap this up anyway because Dan has to get going. It's getting late here. I want to go watch some Monday Night Football.
I want
some scary movies.
Come on, Eagles defense.
Well, you guys, thank you very much for joining me tonight. Everyone in chat, we love you guys. If you enjoy this content, please make sure you subscribe to the Barroom Network as well as Bears Country Podcast.
And hey, can I tell Cliff something real quick? I don't mean to interrupt you.
I was going to let you guys have your own parting thoughts.
Well, Cliff, last night, because I've been recording, and I'm sorry, I can't. Your name's Dan. I'm sorry. Okay, Shorty. I'm trying to call. He's not even that short. But okay. Anyway.
That's why it's funny.
Well, that's why the other Dan.
That's why it says Shorty. Wait, right.
Well, my last name is Shortino, and I spell it like my last name, which is Sciorty, but it just looks like Scrody across the screen because nobody would read it and know how to spell it and pronounce it. So, anyway,
well, nevertheless. I'm making for Dan the 1985 season as well as the 2006 season on DVD. So one of the things I had forgotten about, but it was after the Bears Colts game in '85. And after the game, it's like, Mark Giangreco's doing his stuff, and then they go back to the studio. In the studio is Gale Sayers, and they do a split screen where Gale is interviewing Walter.
Wow.
Just amazing. And like, for one, they asked Gale before Walter came on, like, basically like, hey, you were the greatest running back in this town before. Maybe you still are, but how are you jealous of Walter? Those kind of things. And when Walter comes on, Gale's like, hey, you're 31 and you're still getting it done. You're still doing amazing stuff. And the guy in the studio is like, how are you feeling at 31? Where was your body? And were you still, he's like, I was out of the league. He's like, I could only play 68 games because my knee got destroyed. He's like, I was nowhere near the NFL at 31, which again makes it's amazing that Gale Sayers could only play 68 games and still make the Hall of Fame. That's how, it speaks for his greatness. But anyway, I just wanted to share that, even though I wish I could, like, here's a clip, but just Gale interviewing Walter seemed pretty fucking special, and I'd forgotten about it, and I don't think I ever will now.
Well, once you send that to me, I'll make a clip of that so we can pull it up again and talk about it, because I would like to see, I'm sure everyone would like to see that too.
Yeah, it was amazing. They go split screen with them talking to each other.
Too. I mean, I have the 85 Bears on DVD, but not that particular clip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the post games on that. The post games on a lot of mine, but that individual Colts game, it's just great post game afterwards, and anyway. So Walter,
cool. He sent me a clip of one of the one of the pregame. That was
it was NBC's pregame to start that game.
When he was like 28 years old, and NFL 85. Just so weird looking back then to see how they produced the NFL shows compared to now. It's just crazy. I can't wait to watch that. It's going to be awesome.
Look at the screen. All the stuff that's on the screen now, none of that is there.
Right.
You don't know what down it is. You don't know who has the ball even, unless you're looking at the field.
Right. But
and then you watch them go 3-4 yards out of bounds, and then it's okay to tackle them there. Yeah, sure. Just follow them onto the sideline and tackle them.
Right.
I challenge you to watch especially CBS's stuff with Brent Musburger, but their pregame and postgame stuff was better than anything today. Not because I have an affinity for Musburger, but hell, it pops in my head when the Bears lose to Washington after the '87 season, they're literally following McMahon from behind the tunnel as he's walking onto the field, and some guy comes up to him and is like, Jimmy Mack, and tries to fucking touch him or something, and he gets just thrown to the ground. And I don't know who did it, but you can hear him go oh, when he hits the ground, and you follow McMahon from behind the 9 McMahon as he's walking onto the field. Fox doesn't do shit like that.
Right.
They're just their coverage is just amazing. And they always went to the locker room, and out of the locker room, and hell, they're talking about the point spread in the 80s. For years, the NFL ran from gambling and stuff. Shit that they could get away with them was pretty fucking amazing. But
now
their studio shows are better then than they are now.
Right,
for real.
Exactly. Well, that's awesome. I cannot wait to see that when you get them all done, Dan. I do appreciate that again.
Well, so far, and this is my last thing, I did the Giants playoff game from 85 last night. I've done the Colts game, the bad Dolphins loss on Monday night, the Falcons game, and when I left, I was recording Bears at Packers 85, which is where Fridge catches a touchdown.
Nice.
But that's where I'm at. So we're still a little bit away, but I'm going to get them done.
You're going to enjoy it, Shorty.
I'm gonna watch every one of them. I'm binge watching a good television show, and then I'm gonna do something special with them. So I appreciate that, Dan.
All right, I appreciate you all. I hate to go abruptly, but I've got to do some stuff at work. I was glad to be back. Thank you for having me back, and we'll be back Monday.
Thanks for joining us tonight, man.
You all be well. Thank you.
Have a good night, buddy.
Thank you.
Cliff, well, I think you and I should just end this show on a 1, 2, 3. Ready?
Yep, let's get out of here.
Thank you all in chat. Thank you, everyone. Make sure you follow us on the Barb Network and Bears Country Podcast. Like, subscribe, set your notifications. We love you guys. Thank you for joining us for now what's going on 2 hours. Ready, Cliff? 1, 2, 3. Bears.
Bears.